The Eel, Part 2. "Here is your brother back," was all the elder said as the brother sobbed, clutching the bucket. That was the end to their world trip. The older brother came home with a bucket and an eel. No one believed his claims that his brother was the eel. Everyone, his parents included, thought he had gone insane at his brother's accidental death. They all said the boy must have died, especially after tracking down the village and learning the story about how they both went fishing at night and the brother fell into the water. They forced the older brother into therapy, and it took a long time, but the therapists were able to convince him that his brother had drowned in the river. In his grief, he had made up the delusion that his brother was the eel. As long as he took his prescribed medications, he wouldn't have another mental break. While this was all happening, the eel in question was put into a tank. The older brother kept it even throughout the therapy, refusing the request to get rid of it from his parents, his girlfriend, and even the therapist. He kept the creature. As a reminder, he told the others of his mistake. What the older brother didn't tell anyone else was the dreams he started having after he finished his therapy. The dreams where he would find himself on a boat with his brother. They would chat and talk about the older brother's life. It always made him wake up with a smile, those river visits. To everyone else, he seemed to be fine, still a touch sad at his brother's accident, but moving on with his life. But there were changes that people noticed. For some reason, he could dive deeper, stay under longer, and swim faster than those around him. He truthfully told people that the water just relaxed him. His taste in food changed as well. For some reason, red meat tasted like cardboard to him, while fish became ambrosia to his tongue. But he also grew solemn and preferred to stick to himself a lot more. Before the trip, the older brother was a social butterfly, an extrovert to the max. They weren't ready for the quiet loner that came back from South America. Something in him was just wrong, and he couldn't connect to people as easily. He went through life just going through the motions. It made people think that two people had died in that river. Again, people put the changes down to trauma. Grief has a way of drastically changing people in ways not easily understood. One night, the brother was having his usual dream visit with his brother, talking about random things in the older brother's life, when the younger asked him a question. "Why don't you stay?" The older brother looked at the younger in confusion and asked him what he meant. "You hate it out there. Stay here with me," the younger asked. The water around them went still, and the sky got darker. The brother jerked and woke before he could answer. He looked around his bedroom and found the eel he had brought back with him was staring at him from its tank. It wasn't doing anything but staring. His bed was wet as well, not from peeing the bed or sweating through the sheets. It was as if someone poured a bucket of water on him. He couldn't explain it, but he took his medicine and ignored the dream. A little bit of time passed, and soon the brother found himself back on the boat, doing the usual and talking to his brother again. Once again, the question came, "Why don't you stay?" This time, even as the water grew still and the sky grew darker, he was able to respond, "I can't." The younger brother frowned and in an instant pushed him off the boat. "Don't come back then if you're not going to stay." As he hit the water, he woke up. Once again, his bed was soaked, and once again the eel was staring at him hard from its tank. Then it turned away and went to sleep. The brother was shaken, and he looked down at himself and saw that he was covered in moss. After that, when the brother went to sleep, the younger would ask first thing, and after saying no, would push the brother overboard, waking him up. The brother didn't understand what was happening and how he was waking up covered in river water. Those around him wouldn't believe him, thinking he stopped his meds and was regressing again. So he made a choice and booked a flight to South America. He took the eel with him and went back to the village where it all started. Somehow the aged elder was still alive, and when they made eye contact, the elder recognized him. "Not many people come back after what you went through," the elder commented, chewing on a reed. The older brother sat next to the elder and told him of the dreams, of the water, and of the question being asked of him. The elder said nothing, but finally sighed. "It's good you said no. Your brother's trying to take your place," he said, not even looking at the brother, but at the eel thrashing around in the tank the brother brought with him. It was the first time in years the eel looked so energetic. It usually just floated there and ate food. But to the brother, something felt off about the elder's statement. That didn't sound like his brother, who was always such a good person. Much better than the older brother, who dragged him to his death and transformation. "My brother wouldn't do that," he argued. The elder arched an eyebrow at him. "Your brother has been turned into an eel. That would change anyone." The brother just looked at the eel that was his brother and thought hard about what the elder said. "Fine then," he said, surprising the elder. The older man spat out the reed he was chewing. "What?" the elder asked shakily, but the brother was firm. "I'll do it. It's my fault he was stuck like that in the first place. What do I do?" The elder shrugged and mentioned that he'd never had someone agree to trade places with those who had turned. Usually they would just kill or toss away the fish once the dreams start. No one ever agreed to stay. "It's madness," he told him. The brother was annoyed at the elder and asked again what he needed to do. Once again, the elder dodged the issue. Fed up, the brother retreated, and that night he had an idea. He took a boat like the last time and took the eel with him, tank and all. Lying down in the boat, he fell asleep and found himself fishing with his brother in the same spot. "Okay, I'll stay." "What do I do?" he said before his brother could say anything. "You know what you have to do," the younger said, pushing his brother into the water and waking him up. And he did. The older brother knew what he had to do. Opening the tank, he poured it into the water, releasing the eel into the river. It looked at him for a moment and swam deeper in. The older brother took off his shoes and rolled up his sleeves. Then he jumped into the river and swam downward, chasing after the eel. The water was cold and moss clung to him, but he kept swimming downward as fast as he could, following the eel as it swam. He swam as it got darker and darker. He swam as his lungs burned. He swam until he couldn't swim anymore. And just as he felt all his strength leave him and he finally went still, he felt something grab him and pull him hard downward. He was pulled out of the water, gasping and choking, onto a boat. Wheezing for air, he looked up and saw his younger brother wheezing as well. He was covered in water and moss as well. "Oh my God, are you okay?" his younger brother begged as he hugged him hard. "The boat hit something and you fell in and didn't come up. I had to go in and get you," his brother rambled, tears in his eyes. The older brother just patted his younger sibling on the back. "Yes, I'm okay. I'm here to stay," he said to his almost crying brother. "Let's go home."